Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your guy Rudy SKC, and welcome to a brand new video. Pistons fall to the Knicks today, Game 4 at LCA today, to go down 3-1, and effectively that is basically telltale signs for the series being over. And it's unfortunate because today was one of the best games of basketball I've ever watched in my life. I don't think I've ever been that on the edge of my seat, that excited, that hyped for a single quarter in my entire life. I feel like the emotions were flooding. It was all over the place. I mean, the way the Pistons came out and opened this game, I was absolutely furious. Especially after the emotional letdown in the last game, where it's the first playoff game in LCA, right? Mason does the final countdown, lineup starts, and you come out and they weren't flat, I'll say, but it was a little bit of a letdown in the sense that the Knicks basically handled them. They handled them. They showed who was a superior team. But this game, they came out, and in my opinion, there was clear lack of effort. The amount of offensive rebounding in the first quarter and well into the second quarter for the Knicks, it was absolutely concerning for me. And I think every time I was pissed off because it wasn't that the Pistons weren't in position, okay? They were clearly in position. There are many times Cade was in position, and it was like he was waiting for someone to go and get the ball, right? While other people are boxing out. So I think the Pistons, the first quarter and a half, really pissed me off with the way they're playing. And of course, the Knicks are going to play great defense, okay? That's Tom Thibodeau in a nutshell. That's what Tibbs does. His teams play hard. Maybe they're not as hard as last year. Maybe they're, maybe they aren't playing with the same level of intensity and grit as last year. But they're still a New York Knicks Tom Thibodeau team, okay? They're going to come out, they're going to hustle, they're going to play hard, and they have the personnel, most importantly, to do it. And they came out in those first two quarters, and they punched the Pistons in the mouth, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Pistons almost couldn't get anything to go in the half court. It was stagnant possession. I don't remember exactly how many 24-second violations. I counted at least three 24-second violations in that first quarter and a half. So for the Pistons, my biggest thing was, yes, your offense is stagnating right now, but that's due to the Knicks being a good defensive team, okay? You guys have to take that into account. But on the defensive side of the ball, I did not like the fight. Buckets were coming too easy. Mikal Bridges had like 20 open looks in just the first half. And thank God he was missing them for a majority of the game. If he was making them, I mean, this would have been like a 20-25 point game in the first half. It would have been pretty much over. So that was like the emotional start to it. But then comes the last 5 minutes of the second quarter. And in my opinion, it really started on the mental side for the Pistons after the, Cat fouls Ron Holland. Ron Holland gets all upset. We know how he gets. And Cade comes in and he pushes Ron Holland away. And he's basically telling his rook, as leader of this team, hey man, we need you. We can't afford a technical foul right now. Points-wise on the board. We can't afford it. And that was one of the things. If you guys look at my Twitter, at Ani for Doves, I tweeted out saying, thank you, Cade. Because that's what a leader does. That's what we need. And I think that gave the Pistons a mental edge to help them close out the quarter. And it didn't show itself immediately because it still took them some time to get going on offense. But on the defensive side of the ball, you could see them to start to compete. Okay? You could see Jalen Duren contesting a lot more of Cat's shots. And we'll get to Cat and Brunson in a second because, man, I mean, they just showed... They showed a ton of things for me today. But you could see that challenging, the way the Pistons were challenging the Knicks on the defensive side of the ball. Nothing was coming easy. Okay, nothing was coming easy. I think Josh Hart, there were a couple times he got completely trapped out of the ball. You could tell Dennis Schroeder playing unbelievable defense. Even Malik Beasley playing great defense. Of course, Asar was playing great defense. And anytime Paul Reed and Jalen Duren, anytime something came within 10 feet of the rim, they were there. Okay, they were contesting. They were there. Everything was tough. And then it was Tobias Harris who ignited the Pistons' run. And this is when I was going crazy. Okay, my fury had turned to complete ecstasy because I was sitting there thinking about this. How do you go from playing least Detroit Pistons style of basketball in that first quarter, and then in the last 5 minutes of the second quarter, you turn that into the most Detroit thing I've ever seen? If we look at what they've done this year, if we look at JB Bickerstaff's track record, if we look at the Pistons as a franchise throughout their history, that last 5 minutes embodied everything that set. And it set the tone for the third quarter. But Tobias Harris on the offensive side had a lot to do with that. The way he was getting, because the Pistons weren't getting anything in the half court until the third quarter, really. But he was the guy who was going out. He was getting the hustle points. He was pushing it in transition. And that's a leader. That's a leader. And that's why you have Tobias here. It's so that when the young guys are under the pressure like that, you have a vet like Tobias that can come in and slow things down. And I think it really helped out the team. Okay? So that's ecstasy. You go from just complete fury and rage to ecstasy. And then the third quarter comes out. Okay? And this was probably maybe the best quarter of basketball I've ever had as a Pistons fan. I'd have to say. Throughout watching. I mean, I started watching the Pistons, 2014, 2015, right? When we had the Brandon Jennings, Andre Drummond team with Greg Monroe, Josh Smith, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. That's when I started watching the Pistons. This was by far the best quarter of basketball I'd ever witnessed in my life. Cade was taking over with Dan Campbell, Calvin Johnson, Jared Goff, Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace, Isaiah Thomas. You name it, they were there. And Cade was taking over the game in front of every single one of them. And it wasn't just Cade as well. I mean, the defense in that court, it started with the defense, actually. Cade had 4 blocks. He had 4 blocks as a point guard today. And you could see the way the Pistons were challenging. Anytime someone got into the paint, Asar was there. Dern was there. They were palming the ball to the ground off of blocks. They were vertically challenging everything. And yeah, Knicks fans want to say that maybe they felt like they were being officiated unfairly. I mean, we'll get to it, but like that, I mean, it went both ways. Okay, we'll say it went both ways. In terms of inconsistency, I'm not going to blame. I don't think the refs had anything to do with the outcome of today. I'll get that very clear. I don't think the refs have anything to do with the outcome of today. But being in that quarter, for me, okay, if the end of the second quarter was ecstasy, that entire third quarter for me was just a pure state of bliss. It was a pure state of bliss because everything that you wanted to see in the throughout this entire year, everything we built up, you were starting to see it piece by piece, getting built up. The young Pistons, being the physical defensive team they are, being the number 1 defense in the NBA since January 1st. That's what you got to saw with the Pistons. And then Cade Cunningham, your young star, taking over the game. Tobias Harris making timely shots. Tim Hardaway Jr. making timely shots. And to me, for the Pistons, that was the moment where if they were going to have a chance in the series, they needed to capitalize off of that. They 100% needed to capitalize off of that. Because what even happens in that is, Brunson gets injured. And, I mean, obviously I tweeted this out, but I hope there's nothing significantly wrong with Brunson. I would hate for him to have to miss a game, especially the way he's been playing this series. I mean, he's personally shown me a lot as a fan. Like, I mean, of course, like I don't like watching. I don't like him, right? But that's because I'm a fan of the opposing team. I'm not supposed to like the best player on the opposing team, but I do have respect for him because regardless of all the foul baiting things that everyone says, when the Knicks need a bucket, they get the ball to that guy. And that guy goes out and he gets it done. Whether it's through his dribble penetration, whether it's pulling up in your mouth for 3. The way he's able to use his body inside the paint, maneuvering, getting decent look shots, and his touch around the basket. I think that's so huge for the Knicks. And we'll talk about it in the fourth quarter, but after he came back from that injury, that's what sparked them. And it reminds you as a Pistons fan, I mean, immediately I'm seeing this, I'm thinking, oh boy, this is reminding me, Isaiah Thomas, 30 points and a half with a broken foot. And of course, it wasn't to that extent. But maybe it was something like, Paul Pierce coming back after he was allegedly injured. And of course, we know that's not true right now. But that to me felt like it could be a huge momentum swing for the New York Knicks. And the clutch player of the league for the 2024-2025 NBA season showed yet again why he was voted the clutch player of the league by everyone, to me, in that fourth quarter. I think that fourth quarter was extremely fun, okay? So I told you guys, it went from complete fury, right? Complete fury, to ecstasy, to eternal bliss. And to me, that fourth quarter, it epitomizes NBA basketball. The defense that was being played, the level of shot making that was required. You look at all these other series right now, outside of Lakers versus Nuggets, Knicks Pistons has been the best series. I don't care what the what the record says. Yeah, it's 3-1. But if you take it game by game, this has been by far the most fun series to watch and keep track of. So that fourth quarter was pure basketball. And that's where, to me, it really, you could see Pistons, inexperienced team, Knicks, experienced team. That's what it came down to. And I thought the Pistons had plenty of opportunities. They went up 9 in the fourth quarter, and Tim Hardaway Jr. had a couple chances to just hit some daggers early in the fourth quarter. He had some huge shots late into the fourth quarter, but he had some huge shots to push the lead up to 12, 15 points in the early parts of the fourth quarter, which would have been absolutely huge for the Pistons. And especially with the crowd on your back, it's just a tough pill to swallow. Malik Beasley, in my opinion, he did not have a great game until the last stretch of basketball. He came out and he had 3 humongous threes that were all extremely needed. And I hope that can continue, because that's the only way the Pistons can get back into this series. You're going to need a Cade 40-point game. Like, it needs to happen. Like, you're not going to win this series in this fashion, because what the Knicks are going to do and what they've been doing is they've been hedging off pick and rolls for Cade, and they're forcing Cade to give the ball up. So when Cade's giving the ball up, Asar, in my opinion, has not played a great series offensively. Defensively, he's been in foul trouble a lot, and of course the defense looks a lot better when he's in the game. But to me, he's not. I don't think he's played well this series. I think it's fair to call a spade a spade. Asar Thompson has not had his best series. Jalen Duren, I think, has played great. On the offensive glass, he's been fighting hard with Cat and Mitchell Robinson, with essentially Stu being out, which has really hurt him, and he's having to take on a ton more minutes and everything like that. So I think Jalen Duren has done a great job. Asar Thompson, not so much. But so for me, in that situation, when you have Brunson going, I thought when the Knicks cut the lead down to 5, JB should have called a timeout instead of waiting for them to get it down within 2 before he did. And Cade, he hit some huge shots, but he also missed the last 2 humongous shots. And again, this is something, it's going to hurt as a Pistons fan. You wanted so badly for Cade to have that moment, to come out and announce himself to the world with either one of those shots to just put the game away. And neither of them ended up working out. And now you have the likes of Skip Bayless putting out on Twitter stuff about Cade Cunningham, missing. And, he's going to do his whole LeBron narrative thing again, where Cade isn't clutch in the fourth quarter and everything like that. But this is a process, guys. I mean, we talked about it for the Pistons. It took them a second to figure out how to win in the regular season. It's going to take a second for them to figure out how to win these type of high leverage playoff games. And what I really want for them is to come out Game 5, guns blazing, swinging, give it everything you got. It's an elimination game. Bring the series back to Little Caesars and just give yourself a chance, man. Just give yourself a chance. That's all I'm asking for. I'll be honest. If this is the way the Pistons lost tonight, I'm absolutely not unhappy with that at all. Like, if they would have gone out the way they did, they were playing in the first quarter, I would have come on here super pissed. When you're going up against a team that's way more talented than you, I cannot really ask for more than what the Pistons did. They showed their heart, they showed grit, they showed hustle, they showed everything that this team has built its identity on, all in full display. Everything that the city is built on, they showed it, they gave it their all. And I mean, to me, it comes down to really, Cade has to learn to make those shots in those situations, right? And he will, and I have 100% faith that he will. But it just sucks as a Pistons fan now, because that's a hard pill to swallow, knowing that you had a chance to win it at the last second. You had a chance to push agendas that we could not even have dreamed of before if Cade made that shot, if that helps put it into any kind of perspective. So that's unfortunate. I thought Cat, man, like down the stretch, Cat and Brunson, they just showed you what experience does. Cat with the turnaround mid-range jump shot on those 2 huge threes, the fader 3 and the other one right in JD's mouth to get it back within reach. Like, those are the types of plays that you would want Cade to make. But because those guys have been in these situations so much, we talk about Cat being new to the team. He's not new to the playoffs. I mean, they made it to the Western Conference Finals with Anthony Edwards, right? Anthony Edwards and Cat together before this year. So, Cat's obviously well experienced in the playoffs. And it was the same thing for him when Cat got to his first playoff. I mean, you guys can go and take a look at this. Like, the discourse on Cat was, oh my God, Cat can't show up in the playoffs. And now you see what he's doing in this series. So for anyone that's pushing the panic button on Cade not being ready, it takes a second, guys. And we just have to be patient through the process, because this is the guy who's going to lead your franchise as the Pistons to being perennial contenders. I can't guarantee a championship, of course, but he's going to lead you guys to being perennial contenders in the future. And mark my words when I say that. So it's a very unfortunate loss for the Pistons, especially in a game that was so hype in Detroit, where the crowd was really in it. The crowd really, they were into the game last game, but the Pistons didn't give them many opportunities to really get hyped. That third quarter today, you see how much LCA was popping. It was popping. Like, you could hear the roof about to blow off. You could hear the pizza logo literally being ripped by people in the stands. That's how loud that environment was today, and you could hear it in the TV. So it's, in my opinion, it's a very unfortunate loss, and it's something that the Pistons cannot say that, hey, the better team won. No, they gave themselves a chance. They gave themselves a chance to put themselves in a position where they could win. And at the end of the day, it came down to the Knicks' two closers have been in these situations before, and your closer is in his first playoff series. And it's a tough pill to swallow, but, these are the types of things that are going to build Cade up to be one of the best players in the NBA, one of the top 3-4 players in the NBA, to be the next face of the NBA. These are the moments that build it up. Michael Jordan went through them. LeBron went through them. Steph Curry went through them. Kobe went through them. Cade's going to go through them too. And he's going to come back and he's going to respond, because that's the type of player Cade Cunningham is. Of course, you felt the effects of Isaiah Stewart not being in the game today. Of course, I think Paul Reed played great, but Stu just gives you something on defense that Paul Reed can't. And when he has given minutes, I think he's done the best job he can. But defensively, I think you're missing something. And then offensively, I think Stu, when Cade is getting double team off those screens, I think Stu has shown an ability to be a lot smarter with how he passes out of them. That 4-on-3 spot, that's the Draymond Green spot. I feel like Stu has been a lot more effective in that, and the Pistons are really missing that. So again, let's see what happens. I'll touch a little bit on the Tim Hardaway shot at the end. Yeah, that was a foul. That was 100% a foul. Am I going to cry about it? No. It's playoff basketball. I mean, this is not something unique to the Pistons. This happens to about every other team. When it gets to that late in the game, there's almost zero, maybe 1 out of 10 times they'll call contact on that. It would have to be really egregious. They would have had to slap Hardaway on his hand. If it was like a body bump, they're not calling that in the last few minutes of the game. That's playoff basketball. And to a lot of people a lot of Pistons fans who haven't seen much playoff basketball before, it's going to seem super egregious. And yeah, it was. It should 100% have been a foul. But they never call that. And it's not something unique to the Pistons. They never call that. They never call that, period. So, yeah, for the Pistons, where do they go from here? Game 5, you have to throw all your cards out, man. You have to go full send. I think the big adjustment that the Pistons have to make for this next game is on the offensive side of the ball, actually. I think for them, they need to get Cade in a lot more one-on-one situations. I feel like, especially, I'm saying this early in the game, because basically every game so far, the Pistons have struggled early. And they've made comebacks, in the middle of the game, and that's what's propelled them to be close. But essentially every game, they've started off a little sluggish. And on the offensive side of the ball, I think they need to let Cade ISO a lot more to start the game. So that would be my big adjustment. I think defensively, JB's doing a great job in terms of the matchups, his rotations, the idea of switching Schroeder on to Brunson. It's worked a ton. Again, I hope Brunson's doing all good, but yeah, this is effectively the series ender, guys. I'll be honest. As a Pistons fan, I'm going to keep my hopes up, of course. I'm going to root for this team until they're dead in the water. But as an objective basketball fan, series is over. Series is over. And, as a Knicks fan, you've got to be feeling extremely confident with the way your team has responded from adversity, right? After game 2, where Pistons steal home court advantage, coming down in that environment in game 3, taking down the Pistons at LCA. And then game 4, you come out, and now, the cards are stacked against you. Brunson goes down. The Pistons are on a huge run. And then in the fourth quarter, for you to come back, you just showed that you could take the biggest haymaker the Pistons had to throw at you. So to me, that's a huge positive for the Knicks. And I think it's going to be really difficult for the Pistons for them to not finish it out at MSG in game 5. But let's see, man, because I know the Pistons are going to come out swinging. I hope they do. I really want them to come out and just give it all they have. Because if they fold like a deck of cards, it's, it'll be a sad ending to the season. If they're going to go out, they're going to go out swinging. And that's what this team is built on. So I know they're going to give it their all, but it's just so unfortunate you lost this game. It was a great game of basketball. I will be back for Lakers and Timberwolves later today. So until then, I'll see you guys later. Peace.